Probably a song that goes well with me because I always think I'm a little bit crazy is Loca,
Okay.
because I am.
Very good. And I
For
think
my
Tango
my
Bongo has
crazy
it.
life, my crazy look, and now with Mundo Tango, like I'm definitely a bit crazy.
I'm Liz Sabachik, and this is Humans of Tango, where we explore what tango has to teach through the experiences of those who dance it. That was Scott Boddye, a social dancer and world traveler, also known as Scott the Tango Nomad.
I spend about 6 months in Buenos Aires, so that's kind of home base. But otherwise, I love traveling. I love jumping into new communities and dancing with them and finding new friends and food. The food is always amazing everywhere and just the different cultures. A lot of people ask if I'll ever stop, and for me it's why? What is there to stop for necessarily, right? It's to find and build that
And how
home,
would you know?
maybe.
How would you know what you'll
Exactly.
be doing?
Yeah. So I'm still this exploring spirit ready for more. My parents are both from California. Grandma's from Puerto Rico, so I've got some Latin stuff going on. I grew up in California, Oregon, and Arizona. I ended up going to I think 11 different schools. So even growing up, I was used to being kind of all over the place and never having like super close friends. So I think that maybe prepared me for tango. We have all of these acquaintances, whether you're at home or you travel, that we've met over the years. And then kind of the funny thing too is now that I've been a nomad, I've been spending more time with my parents or more kind of concentrated time, right? So like 2, 3 weeks at a time, so I'm getting to know them more and getting
Hmm.
to know them more as friends. So we started sharing more stories and this and that. And I'm finding out that apparently my dad was also a nomad, but just going through California. So he'd go up and down California for a number of years, doing all kinds of different jobs and staying with friends. And so nomading is in my blood, apparently. I graduated from university, and that's where I actually started tango was in university in Arizona State with Danielle Borgiali. And then I moved to New York, was there for about 5 years, and then San Francisco for about five. In July of 21, I decided to just go away for a month and a half just to see friends and travel without the intention or even idea of being a nomad. But it ended up coming out of this, idea that out of the pandemic, we all felt, in our space. And I was already I loved traveling before. And I think the pandemic really drove me to want to do more of it. And so when I left, it just, it felt right. When I got back to San Francisco after that first trip, I had already planned, like the next five or something cities I was going to go to. So I only give myself a week to be there. And the more I thought about it, like getting it from the apartment to a van to a storage unit, and then worrying about how long it would be there, and who knows, when I'll be done, quote unquote, with being a nomad. Maybe it won't fit in with where I am or what I'm doing. And so I finally said, I'm done. I don't need any of it. So I called the garbage guy and he came over, and for $450, he took away my life, my whole adult life at that point. And for me, it's great. It's a great feeling to not be burdened by the physical things. I did unfortunately have to break up with my girlfriend at the time, who was a tango dancer. All of my relationships have been tango dancers, actually, before and after. I was with that partner for 8 years, and before that, I was with another for five, and I was married to that one. So
Wow.
this and
So
the
you got
the
married
whole
young, though, right? And
yeah, I got married
okay,
very young. Yes, and
okay.
I met her in tango in Arizona. So I kind of went, you know, um, and had these long relationships for a long time. So being out of that, I'm very happy to be alone.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been before her. I was with my parents.
So, and it's
But
only been like it's been 3 or 4 years that you've been living this way?
and 3.5 years. Yeah,
3.5 years.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, not only like I'm sure a lot's happened in those years, but it's also not like 20 years. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's not that long in the grand scheme of things. No, not at all. I
Hmm.
had a great life in San Francisco and in New York. I wouldn't change anything about what I did during those times. But now on this other side, I don't necessarily want that stability.
Scott may not be looking for stability right now, but he clearly appreciates the stable support he's experienced from the tango community ever since he started dancing as a student at Arizona State University with Daniela Borgiali, who you can learn more about in the show notes.
The university wanted everybody to be kind of culturally diverse, so go take a dance class, an art class, a language class, something. And when I found tango, that was it. Working with Daniela was a lot of fun. She was a great teacher in that, she tried to really get everybody to do both roles. Just test it out, play with it, see how you like it. And I loved it. She had two classes for level one, level two, and there was probably at least 60 kids in her level one and 35 in her level two. And just trying to wrangle that many people and then college kids on top of it, it's incredible. And we had homework. You had to go to the Milonga, you had to do a write-up, you had to write a paper, you had to do a final project, all these things to actually get credit for.
Quick side note, as far as I'm aware, just a handful of universities in the United States offer tango classes for credit, like Scott experienced. Student clubs, on the other hand, are actually a pretty common way to encounter tango while studying in the US.
And we had a club as well, so I was very active with that. We also had our own little practicas and kind of bigger milongas. And of course, I was, helping the blind, leading the blind. There was doing some teaching there. And we actually ended up going as a group of students down to Buenos Aires. And that was my first time in 2008. And I started with classes in 2007. So just about a year after. And she's like, all right, well, let's all go down to Buenos Aires and show you what it really is all about.
Nice.
Yeah. I've always been community minded. And I think that's probably something that was instilled in me at this young age of dancing with Daniela is, she encouraged us to go to the milongas and dance with everybody, because we had the college kids and then we had, the community that was actually living in Phoenix and had been dancing for a while. And she was always like, go dance with them. That's how you get better. As I moved on, then moving after I graduated to New York, and finding community there and trying to be part of it in different ways and bring people together. And then same thing in San Francisco. I even created some practicas and milongas and going to many of the other milongas around the Bay Area, which is kind of difficult if you don't have a car. And then with traveling, exploring all of these different communities, I think because of tango, it makes it so easy. It's because it's our common language with the movement, with the music, with the codes of the milonga. Like, this is our base. So then we have this opportunity to jump in faster into meeting these people. It's not as scary, right, as it would be if you were to go just to a bar or something. So for me, it's huge, and I have so much fun with it. And they immediately invite me to all kinds of things. Let's go to dinner after the milonga at 3 a.m.
So is it fair to say that tango is basically your definition of community?
Yes, yes, very much so. Even talking to my dad, he's a bit of a hermit up in the mountains in California, and he mentioned to me the other day, I've never really heard of community besides you and when you talk about tango.
Wow.
But there's so many communities as well,
Hmm.
but I wonder, of course, with the dancing, salsa, swing, that there's community there, or like I scuba dive a little bit. So is there a community around that? I don't quite know. Like I know more communities are out there, but in the same kind of space realm as tango, I wonder if there is, because I think we all like that it is smaller, and that it is, you have to put more effort and energy into it. It's not an easy thing to do. So I think that that brings that bar up a little bit more, and we all kind of tend to trust people who are better dancers, who have been in a long time, because we see that similarity that we have, that we have all been
Hmm.
through this.
It's
We've all
something you
put a lot of
share,
time.
something you have
Yeah,
in common
yeah,
with them,
exactly,
that they've invested time in their craft.
exactly.
Hmm.
At times I'm super jealous of my parents, because they went to the same school together, and so they have that long-term friendship, but then also with their other friends from kindergarten to high school, they went with the same kids, so they've been friends for, you know 70 years, 65 years, something like this. So I am jealous in that respect, that yes, it would be nice to have that type of super close long-term relationship. But I think it has been kind of created in not exactly the same way, with Tango, but having relationships with people where, you have this intense time together, and maybe you don't see each other for years, and then the next time you do, it clicks back together.
Today, the global tango community is what helps Scott feel at home all over the world. It's also the inspiration for Mundo Tango, a project Scott started after he was laid off from the remote job as an information technology manager that first made his nomadic lifestyle possible.
For me, community has been a huge part of my life with tango, and with Mundo Tango, it's been a huge inspiration for it. We have this incredible community around the world. So why wouldn't we have our own social platform for tango? Where we can bring our ideas all together into one place, where we can make it easier for people who are in it to find the right information, to find the right people, to be more connected, and having the same types of conversations.
Same types of conversations, referring to me sharing with Scott my long term goal to leave Facebook.
Of, we're on Facebook because there isn't another option, and we're only on it because of tango. This is a common thing around the world. At the same time, some people they're hindered as well, that they would like to post more tango stuff, but because of their life, they can't. So maybe because of their work or their family or their culture or whatever it might be, that being seen as a dancer is not seen as appropriate. So they stop themselves from posting good things that are happening, either questions or comments about tango, or images or videos. And at the same time, when you grow in your tango, you meet so many people, especially when you get to a point, and I think everybody does, where they get tired of their community. So then they want to go travel to that marathon or check out that other city. So then we start to meet all these people. So how do we effectively remember who all of our acquaintances are? Because it could be that you meet them next week or 10 years from now. So connection is a huge piece for me with this, allowing for more opportunities for people to remember who others are, which then also leads to connection to those individual communities. So each city that starts to have tango dancers in it, where, in the registration form, it's where do you live or where do you dance tango the most. The local people will be added so that you could start to see who are the organizers, the teachers, DJs, photographers, etc., along with groups for that community and events for that community on a map, and with the ability to filter. It will be free to start, but there will be Google ads. If you can afford it, there will be a subscription fee that will get rid of those ads, but will have ads that I place or ads that other Tango professionals place, which is great for them. If you're a clothing designer, shoe designer, you are creating a marathon, you're a teacher, you are then marketing directly to your clientele that you want. Versus right now, when you place an ad on Facebook, like, good luck if you get to the right people. Right now, it's a very robust platform, but it is more focused on connecting us all together back with our friends, that we have on Facebook and Instagram, and then also showing off the cities as well that have all that information, and you can follow cities if you go there a lot. I figure we need the social piece first so that we can all come together, and then we can add other interesting features for these more specific types of use cases.
Alongside the nomadic lifestyle and international tango network Scott's been cultivating in recent years, he has also cultivated a distinctive image, which often combines elements conventionally associated with men, like suits, with elements conventionally associated with women, like painted nails and jewelry. Scott also loves to dance as both a leader and a follower, in the high-heeled sandals often associated with women in the following role. Since Scott usually dances in mainstream tango spaces where conventional gender norms still dominate, these choices tend to get people's attention. And for him, so far, that's been a good thing.
I'm this big question mark for everyone when I walk into a room, which is kind of fun, in my mind, that I am this weird, interesting creature that has just walked into this room, and in some places, something that most people have never seen before. With the heels, it's because of this art form. I don't need to wear them, but when I first put them on, it was like going from a shitty car, whatever that is for you, to a Ferrari. Like, I finally felt free, and I finally felt like I could actually move, which was so much fun, because I've been dancing in flats for my entire tango life. So to be able to really use all of the technique that I had been, training and doing for years, and really feel how it should be in heels, it was great. I would have done it much sooner, I think. I had been looking for heels for a long time, but being in the States at that time, I couldn't find any designers that offered to do custom shoes, because I'm a 42, 43, and the highest I could ever find was 41. So, I could not get shoes until I finally came down to Buenos Aires for the first time on my nomadic life, in January of 22, and I got the heels in March of 22. And it was then, and it was like, well, I'm here, I might as well give it a try finally, and yeah, that was it for me. I fell in love. It's opened up a whole nother kind of essence for me in the way I dance. So it's this other exploration, and it takes, a level of, of I don't care what other people think, because there's a lot of stigma around it. So it's getting over that, and it's this whole, like I said earlier, this idea of I can't focus on that. because if I focus too much on what other people think, and I think a lot of people could use this, if you focus too much on the external and what other people think, then you're going to be blocked in so many ways. And I was lucky that transitioning to heels for leading wasn't that hard for me. Are there changes that need to be made? Yes, of course. Am I an expert in it? No, not by any means. There's still a lot to learn, but I'm just here to have fun with it. I love to dance. I want to explore both sides of it. And I think for teachers who don't offer that or push that on their students more, I think it's a problem. For me, it has created so much empathy and understanding for what both sides go through, and I think it has brought this other creativeness for me. And with the jewelry and everything, and the hair even, and the hair was the first thing to go. Even before I was a nomad, I did this in March of 21, just to be fun. It was pandemic. Why not? If I don't like it, I can just buzz it all off. And blue is my favorite color, so that just made it easy. So all of this all kind of leads me to creating this image of a nomad that is able to stand out a bit more. I think because of what I've done, when I go to a space, I get that one tanda, and then everybody is like, "Oh, who's that new person?" Versus when people normally travel, it's hard to be seen, because especially in larger communities where I often travel to, when you go out to dance, you're there to hang out with your friends, the people that that you dance with all the time. You're not always looking for new people. So by doing this, I think it's one way to help break that barrier. So I've leaned hard into it. I just keep growing in different ways, which, personal growth is always a good thing. And I've had a lot of fun with this, but it started unintentional. And then as it kind of progressed, it became more and more intentional. It also comes out of this feeling of, it's a dance. I don't care what you think. I don't care what the public thinks. I'm doing this for me. If you get inspired by it, that's awesome. And I hope you do. That it's like, oh, he's a guy and he can follow. Oh, well, I can start taking some classes. Oh, he's a guy and he's leading in heels. I can do that as a woman. Like, trying to break these norms.
For a deeper dive into gender norms and tango, episodes 1, 2, 11, and 18 of this podcast would all be great places to start. Links in the show notes, of course.
But I feel that I'm also lucky in the perspective that I have been dancing for a long time. So I'm not just this beginner making this crazy show. I go in and I'm well dressed. I dance well. So I think that I've created this external persona that is hopefully pleasing or at least interesting to look at. So it's this level of, I don't care. And if you don't like me, then don't talk to me. Don't attempt to dance with me, which is, everybody's prerogative. So I've been very lucky that I've not had any issues, really. As far as getting dances, though, I thought it would be easier being in heels. I thought more men would be like, oh, hey, he's in heels. He must know how to follow. Hey, great, let's give him a try. No. Haha, no. No, it's still, and I get a lot of men who ask me, how do you get more dances as a follower? Guys, it's hard. But the ones that I do get, it's so fulfilling, because I've had a number of them where after the first song or at the end of the tanda, they'll say, thank you, you were the first guy that I've ever danced with. Like a full tanda at Amilonga. Like, you're the first one ever, and that was a lot of fun. Thank you. So for me, that's like big heart shapes all around my head. It's like, yes, I succeeded in opening that guy's box a little bit.
Here's to exploring, connecting, and opening some boxes here and there. Thank you, Scott. And thanks to Tango Bardo for their interpretation and recording of Loca, originally composed by Manuel Joves.